everyone. Hi, how are you doing? I didn't even know that you all could uh, talk in the chat box before I start. I actually come live. I'm sorry for the late start. I was waiting for Gerald and I haven't heard from him as yet. So we are going to start and we are going to have a wonderful evening this evening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead if you have not yet subscribed. All you have to do is just to hit the word subscribe. Share it on your Facebook page. Go right there down the bottom there. You see share and you just share. When you go share, you can copy the link. You can put it on your WhatsApp status. You can put it on your Facebook. You can send it to as many persons as you wish. So they'll see that we're on, and even if they miss it tonight, they can watch it again. It is said, true and real love is like a treasure in this world. And as with anything of value, sometimes you have to work hard to get it. And we know that anything that is of value, we have to work hard to get it. So, to have a good relationship or to find one or to try to find out what are the true signs of compatibility, it may take some hard work. But this evening we are happy to be here with part two. And if you have not yet watched part one, it's still there. Go and watch it and share it too. And we have this evening Coach Michelle Cumberbatch, and she is going to be with us this evening, and we are going to explore a whole lot of things. Let me share with you the highlights. How to prepare for a healthy relationship and marriage, how to stop attracting the wrong guy, how to start attracting the right guy, how to identify the wife material. I'm sure you have heard that term before, and your suitable fit. And what are the signs that he or she is the one? And how do a person know that that person is the one? And also, we're going to be looking at tips to find love. Help me welcome Coach Michelle Cumberbatch.
Hi, Samantha, and thank you again for having me on your show. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. How was your day?
It was good, actually, productive, so it was good. How was
Awesome.
yours?
Awesome. Really happy to have you back with us this week as we explore this awesome topic. I know it's one that a lot of persons are really interested in and they really love last week. We don't want to delay because we want to get right on time and we want to finish right at 9 o'clock for me, 8 o'clock for the persons who are in Jamaica. I think Michelle is in Texas and she's what, 1 hour behind me. So
So
it's
that'll be the same time as the Jamaican people in Jamaica.
okay, okay. So we want to finish right on time. All right, so we want to explore uh, how do one prepare themselves for a healthy relationship or a marriage?
Well, there's a lot of things that go into preparing yourself for a relationship that's going to be healthy and successful. And the first thing I advise women to do is to actually learn who they are. And I'm going to always refer back to knowing who they are in Christ. So after finding that person, you have to find yourself and be really true to find the authentic you, because so often we get caught up in just kind of putting a mask on, and whatever environment we are around, we kind of adapt those personalities. And so that's why I say you have to find the authentic you. After finding yourself, you first now need to actually find your core values, and your core values are going to be the things that are related back to your belief system. Whatever that belief system, that's going to help shape how you go into the dating arena. So if I let's say I am a woman who is God fearing, that's going to determine how I pick my partner. Also, knowing your negotiables and your non negotiables is going to help me to say, okay, I see you, you're cute, you got it going on, you have this, but this is a non negotiable for me, and you're not in the church. That means I don't want to be with you. That don't matter how much the other things are looking good, that one is a non negotiable. Therefore, you're not going to compromise. And so, You find yourself, find your principal values through from your belief system, and after that, you use those to incorporate in how you pick the person that you want to be with. So you're gonna know that from the likes and dislikes, the things that you care for. It's just more preparation about the person you are. So if you prepare yourself to be more healthy, and once you are healthy in yourself, you are going to be able to choose a partner accordingly. And I had a live the other day talking about uh about self care. And so people think about self care more from a super, oh, I can't get the word out, from superficial aspect instead of thinking of it from an internal aspect where you take care from the spiritual sense. So a lot of women come to me and they have baggages that they haven't taken care of. And so you have to take care of those baggage. They feel hurt or jaded because of the relationship that broke up. Therefore, they need to kind of take time and kind of heal, then actually go and dissect what was the patterns in that relationship that they keep attracting, and therefore address it. Because every time a woman go into a relationship with a lack, she's gonna set herself up for a real heartbreak. Because, like, take for instance, if I have poor credit and I meet a guy, he's kind of a jerk, but he has great credit and he promised to be my knight in shining armor and provide that credit for me. I keep thinking, like, okay, what he said was really not, I didn't appreciate it, but I mean, well, my credit is getting help and, we're going to be able to. So you kind of look at it from a place of compromise as opposed to if you had taken care of yourself, fix the deficiencies in you, and then go into the dating world, then you would be able to better equip to handle those things.
Okay, okay, quite interesting. And while you mentioned that, we realize that it is in fact true that we find that a lot of persons really do enter relationships sometimes because they are feeling lonely, and maybe because of the age factor, they're getting old, and I really want to do this and I'm tired of being alone. But you realize that there are still a whole lot of things that have not been dealt with, the preparation. So we
Mm.
really want to put that out there, that before getting yourself ready, there are some things, that there's some work that you
Yes.
want to do. And even as we talk about thriving and striving to be and to become a better version of yourself, I've often said that we have to be honest with ourselves. You know the hurt that you have been through. You know the disappointments you have gone through. You know how you were socialized. You know how you felt about relationship. And sometimes you felt, you may have seen grown, socialized in an environment where relationships is not, you may not have seen any good relationships, and also there weren't any good example of relationship. There weren't any real genuine love. And so that's your idea of love. And while I talk, sometimes you socialization, you realize that sometimes you might grow, maybe raised in an environment where maybe the woman says my money is my money, or the man thinks that, oh, as a woman, as a man, he should not buy stuff for you, shouldn't do things for you. So all of these things, all of these preconceived notions, we want to address, right? Why you will say that, right, Michelle?
Yes, but again, so I my question actually is for you. Tell me what your audience is, because if your audience is more of a worldly audience, I speak to that. If your audience is a godly audience, I can speak to that as well, because there are going to be two different um, previews that they're going to look at. Like, I think you had a lady said last week that she ain't marry nobody if she didn't have sex with them yet. That is her decision. Of course, it's not the same clientele that I'm talking to when I talk about abstaining from sex, because she's like,
Well,
no.
I want you to look at both because the
All right.
audience is wide, and I wouldn't want to leave anyone out, or to
Okay.
allow it to feel as though it's a churchy thing. I don't want that.
Oh
I
no,
want others,
that's
yeah,
definitely.
I want others to feel comfortable to know that yes, it's general and it's wide, and whether whatever category you fall in, we can help you to to address whatever you need to.
So understand this: when you're dealing with the flesh, you're going to be limited. Understand that clearly. So whatever I share with you is going to work to certain aspect, and that's going to be based on your willpower, and because you're not using a guiding force that is higher than you to do so. So let's say that you are working hard, you meet a guy, and you know you've been working hard, but you got into some bad relationships before, and now here this guy, and you're wondering, because I have a client that she says, I don't want nobody to come and take my money. That's her perception of what's going to happen because she works so hard. Well, I must tell you, your mindset is going to play a part in attracting that same guy that you don't want to. Instead of repelling him, you're going to actually draw him into your presence because you're concerned. Whatever your concern is, whatever your fear is going to bring that kind of personality into your space. And a lot of men can actually observe it and kind of feed on it. So you want to be careful. So it's really about getting yourself to a place where you are healthy and wealthy in your spirit, because then you can go out there and you could command. Like I tell the girls, like, when you choose a person to go on a date with, you have chosen them. They haven't chosen you. A lot of women are being chosen to go on a date, so they are not in the driver's seat. But when you equip yourself, I am allowing you to sit across from me. You know which kind of power? You don't need to worry about your money there because you are commanding who you want in your space. And most times we are waiting for him to kind of invite us, to for us him to bring us along, and that's not what it should be. We are valuable, we are so worthy. We are the ones that should be commanding that, and it's so hard sometimes for women because they're not in that space. So the work that starts with you, if you are a person that is not in church, or and not even if you're in church, because people are in church and they do their own thing. So if you're saying like, okay, I know there's a God thing, but I'm going to do this on my own, just know that you can do it. Yes, you can. I just know that when the flesh rise up, is going to kick it to the side, because that's what we do. Even as a Christian, if somebody pushes the wrong button, you have to really horn yourself in, because you know this is not the behavior you should be having, to then guide yourself out to there. But if you're not, then you don't have no guidance. Like, you're just gonna be going with your feelings. So I encourage women to really, really work on their self and work on their self-esteem. And there's every woman has some lack and defect in her self, so she needs to address it. And if she's true to it, she can address it in a relationship. She's gonna go in there aware of it, and therefore you can't make her feel insecure about it. If she's not, for instance, one of the girls that asked me, Michelle, when is it the right time to mentor my kids? And there's no wrong time to mention your kids. For a matter of fact, that's the first thing. Your kids are an extension of your arm, so they go with you. You need to be so proud of your kids, but sometimes women use it as a way to deter a man, saying, "Okay, so I have kids. I just want you to know," and they're waiting for the shoe to drop. So run now, run. I just told you. I know. I expected that from you. Instead of going, I am just like I just love my kids. It's amazing being a mother. So you're expressing something of joy, and you're not seeing it as like something that every person, when they hear you have a kid, they just want to leave you. That's what society have taught us to believe, but it's not the truth. There's a guy that's gonna come into your life because of how you're expressive of your kids, and love you because you are so expressive of how much you love your kids, as opposed to I got two kids. Okay, what now? Do you still want to go out? You're waiting for the shoe to drop. So if you don't attack those deficiencies, you mightn't see that as a deficiency, but the way you carry over, the way you haven't the have children, it is you are consciously aware that there's a lot of men don't want to be with a woman with kids. So you have that insecurity, as opposed to feeling so proud and happy to just be expressive about your kids, that it comes over like you need to be a part of our lives, as opposed to we want to be a part of yours.
Okay. What if the person, for example, the woman is confident, know what they want, and they're ready to go to a date. They are in the driver's seat, but every time they go on a date, you realize that maybe there's always, I guess, they're always the men that you go out with. They're always wanting sex. how do somebody handle that? It's everybody who you meet. That's where everybody you meet is like that. And sometimes it's what you're wondering is am I doing something wrong? Is something wrong? What's happening? What would you say to that?
So again, it's gonna be how she carried herself, because if you're going on dates, I call dates discovery time. So discovery time is no anything that's physical. So if we're going on dates, what is your conversation like? So because people get sexually involved so fast, there's no real conversation. Dating is about conversation. What are you talking about? You have to have conversation where you're talking about what is your 5 year goal, what's your 2 year goal, what are the things that you want for yourself, what are your core values. And if you haven't, if I ask a gentleman like what's your core value, chances are he's gonna ask me, he's going to tell me his, and then he's going to ask me what's mine. Well, I believe in not having sex. So if he runs, then great. You didn't waste any more time. You want him to
Perfect.
run early. You don't want to
Yes,
get
yes,
your heart involved. You want him to, like, okay, great. So I know now where you stand. But you have to be able to have conversation. And having conversation is very strategic. You go out with a on a date to actually learn from the person. So one of the examples we normally give, is that, like, for instance, say you had some issues with your credit or managing your money, and so you're on a date, the guy asks you, like, when's the last time you were on a date? You're like, I haven't been on a date for a while. And he's like, curious now, why is that? Well, I had some things to work out. He's still curious. You drawing him in. Well, what was those things? He's curious. He's well, I had two big things. I was having sex too early, and I was also working on my credit. Okay. And he's gonna look at you. If his sex is not the one he want to talk about, the first thing he's gonna mention is probably, so what about your credit? And he's going, you then you talk about your credit. And if he doesn't even bring up the sex part, know that he's not probably interested in going any further from that date, because he doesn't want to talk about something he's not interested in. So you look for context clues. You listen to what people do. Every time you say something to someone and they are happy to have that conversation, they engage. What
yeah,
I don't want to,
exactly.
if I have bad credit, Samantha, I have bad credit, and you so proud of your credit, you go, man, I am just amazed how my credit score is going. I'm gonna be like this, sinking in my chair, like I don't want to have this conversation, right? Because
Yeah,
I am not
yeah,
comfortable there. Why I
okay.
want women to actually, if you have bad credit score, if you have financial problem, if you feel that you have a weight problem, whatever it is, you start working on it. So even if you're not where the person is, you're on your way to where you want to be. So when somebody have that conversation, your goals is there and you know where you came from. So it's easy for you to actually have a part of that conversation. You're like, yeah, I know I am not where I need to be, but God, no, I've been working on it. I am so proud of myself. If I never had $100 in my savings account, can I have $100 now? It mightn't be a big deal to you, but it's a real big deal to me. You know what I mean? So it's not about matching what the person have, is realizing that you have a deficiency. That deficiency have turned into insecurity, and you need to attack it so that you're not placed in that place that you are compromising, or you feeling like that's something you don't want to talk about. If a woman say, well, I was having sex too early, and he goes, what do you mean? Well, I don't want to have sex if I don't wait till I get married. And he's like, really? And he want to have that conversation? That's good. That's a great sign. I never met a woman that said that. Well, you have met your first one. I am committed to this because I know my value and therefore I'm waiting. As opposed to you said that and he's just like, so what do you want to eat? He is not gonna stay around too long. No, he's not. He might stay along just to try the next time to see if something happened. But if you're not gonna want to have sex, you gotta put yourself in positions that you can't go out to dinner late at night. What's gonna happen when you go out to dinner? It's a romantic thing, and then you feel touchy feely. No, so you position yourself back again to discovering yourself, you would have discovered hobbies, you would have just dated yourself in that time period, and you would have known things that you're interested in doing. Therefore, you would have been happy to show him things during daylight time or early evening, as opposed to going out to dinner at 8 o'clock and then you're there till 10. And definitely don't ever let him pick you up. You drive your own car, because then again, that you put yourself in a position where you are likely to feel touchy feely, and you want to avoid that as possible, as much as possible.
So true. Profound. Someone is asking a question and we want to jump into it. She's saying, how do you identify when you're lacking something? Because sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's there and you don't realize.
Okay, so how do you identify that lack? I promise you, you will know it because you haven't thought about this. Think about even your family members. Don't even get to the relationships, the past relationship. Think of your family members. They have consistently said something to you. You ever heard, I'm sure somebody you hear this, you talk too much? Well, people are constantly telling you that that's something that's coming up, not just for one person, but you have ignored it because it's not something you want to talk about. Like, what do I mean? But it's something that's constantly coming up. You might look at your relationship, because I always tell women, your relationship is not a regret. Actually, it's a database of information that can really catapult you into the next level, because you're going to look at that and you're going to say, oh, he always was talking about, I am not emotionally present. Well, maybe you're not emotionally present. Or then you look at the next boyfriend and he said the same thing. There's a pattern of behavior. Thank you. Oh, Simone. Is a pattern of behavior that shows up. And soon as you show, or think about this one. Why is it that you keep attracting guys that are broke? Is it that you want to be in control? Is it that you want to be given and so they are subservient to you? The patterns are there. You just have to pay attention, open your eyes wide enough, and you will see them. Because if I had a conversation with you, like if we went to a coaching call, I would ask you a series of questions. I could tell you, I am going to know what your pattern is, because you're going to say things and it's going to keep coming up and coming up. So whatever is coming up constantly is something. And the basic things, like you would know a deficiency that's like, for instance, you're not good money managing. You don't have a dime to your name. You spend all your money, spent to broke. Then you have a deficiency. You don't want to go into a relationship and you feel like you live into paycheck to paycheck. Even if it's $100 you have in your savings account, it puts you in a better position than none. Because then you are dependent on someone. And here, when I say dependent, because I do believe in the man picking up the bill. So that's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning that you should always have, in my country, they call it vex money. If you only
Yes.
the wrong way, boy, I do not have to stick around. I got my vex money. A woman that doesn't have her vex money have to sit there and take what she's taking to wait to the bill to pay to go. So she's not in a position that she's in power to do or feel like she's in command of that date.
Oh yes. Yeah, we know about the fixed money too in some places. Yes. So I just want to take the time out to shout out to all our viewers this evening. I see Simone, uh, I see Genika, Alicia, Shanique, Caprisa. Shout out to our Stacian. Shout out, happy to have you, Cedric, Aretha, Glenda. So happy to have you. If you have not yet subscribed, it's easy. Just hit the word subscribe and go ahead and share on your page so that we can have other persons coming on, because we are building a great network over here, Broken to be Blessed Network. And we hear Michelle started touching on the point, how do I stop attracting the wrong guy and start attracting the right one? And we're going to put it right there, as we are now looking at the traits and the trend that sometimes come up. So go ahead, Michelle, and start and share with us how someone would start. Persons complain, I'm always attracting this kind of person. What is happening there?
So for me that's one question, because when I eliminate one, I answer the other one, right? So if you're attracting the wrong guy, then that here again comes back to what are the patterns that are coming up for you. So we all have some sort of something that we will interpret to be a childhood trauma. um, in cultures like the Caribbean, there's a lot of things that are different. And so those things can, if you're in an environment like the US, then when you were here, now you have to handle how you were brought up, as opposed to now you're in a different environment. For instance, um, we as women in Guyana, we are very homey. We do things that are, we take care of our home. Guyanese women take care of their home, right? And so she might come to America and fall into the pattern. Well, that's not. I don't like that example.
I
Okay,
think
back
it's
to
good.
home. I
I
know,
think
but
it's
I want to
good.
add something else. So, uh,
Okay.
I heard someone say this, and this is a good one. I heard this today. We Caribbean people are notorious for raising their hand at their women. It's just a fact. Some people don't allow it to happen, or some people go hand in hand for them, right? And so that's not a great thing. But of course, as we evolve, things are changing. I know for sure in Guyana, women, they're not taking it like that anymore. So if you are not addressing that you were hit before, but you go into a relationship now, so you didn't know any different, guess what you are expecting, if it because it wasn't addressed? You're expecting love to be shown through hitting. Unfortunately, that's a childhood trauma that could come into being an adult trauma, because you don't know. So you have to address any traumas, especially when there's a culture difference that you might have faced. Like, my kids could tell you that I spanked them, and that's just the worst thing I ever did to them. And then if I take them to Guyana, they'd be like, "You just get two spanking, you whining." For them, that could be something that carries into their adulthood, and it could be a trauma. So you need to address trauma that happens in your youth. And trauma could not only be limited to you being spanked, it could be the way your parents interacted. If you saw your parents not affectionate, not showing love, that's something you need to address, because if you don't address it, you can't really change it. If you pretend it's not there, it's still going to show up in some way, right? So if you are having those things in your life and you haven't addressed it, it's going to be a big problem in who you attract. Because if I feel my dad loved my mom through a smack, then I'm looking for somebody who's more aggressive. And I might say, why am I attracting this wrong man? But I'm attracted it because of a childhood trauma that never been addressed. It's have taught me that love comes this way. So that's the first thing I would say. Every time um, I talk to a female, I want her to address if there's anything that's carrying over from her childhood into her adulthood. And then if there's nothing there that she needs to address, then she needs to address the decisions that she has made as an adult in her previous relationship. And she could be feeling like, you know what, I didn't have a voice in my last couple of relationships, and I intend to have one now. So I'm going to be the boss. So then she wants to be with a man that is not going to make as much money for her. Over, she's making more. She's going to give him stuff, and she's going to be able to take it from him. She wants to be in control. But if you go back, you might figure out that there was something that happened that allowed her to feel that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. Yes, it does. And while you were talking, I was saying that that was a very good point, because I realize it happens a lot. Where, for example, as you said, you were mentioning that, and we could say Caribbean people were very homely women. So the woman, they meet a man and they start doing everything
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay, this is the one that I found, and they start buying them car, buying them clothes, taking them out, doing all these things. And if it is that it reaches to the stage of marriage, I want to inform you that that is exactly how
How
it's
it's
gonna
going to
continue.
transpire.
It's gonna continue like that, and then when you get into marriage, you're gonna start becoming miserable because he is not gonna do anything. And we realize, we wives here can testify to you that that is how it is. Men are, they can be programmed. If you put them, if you give them a program, if you don't allow them to do anything, if you don't ask them to do anything, if you don't have any requirement of them, that's how they're just gonna go with the flow. But
Yeah.
if they know that, hey, this is what I need from you, and I want you to do this, I want you to do that from the initial state, then you find that more than likely you will get what you want. Yes, you find
Absolutely.
that sometimes men are delinquent, so every now and then they will go back to their old ways and forget about what you require of them. But then you come again and you remind them, remember that this is what I need. Remember when we were dating and when we were courting, you knew that this is what I want, this is what I stand for. And then you kind of get them back to give you what you want. But you find that a lot of women make the mistake of attracting the wrong guy because guess what? And sometimes too, they'll know that this guy or this man is what you would call have girls man, and you find that um you this one come along and you thought that you won or you win because you're the one now that takes his heart and you're giving him everything and he's now focused on you. Hello dear, if he's a girl's man and he's a player, sweetheart, I'm sorry to tell you, that's how he's always gonna be. After
I, I would say this. Let me just say this. So that's not necessarily always he's going to be, because they can have change in a person's life. Because that would say, if I say that about a man who's a womanizer, then I would say that a woman who was a prostitute can turn her life around and give her life to Christ. So I wouldn't say that. What I do say, be careful of the behavior, because if the behavior is not addressed, the character within that person will be present. It just would take the right woman to bring it out again.
yes, that's true. And sometimes it's sad to say because persons are saved and they have those tendencies before, and you find out that they're not addressed and they come right out just to say, you realize that, uh, oh my God, I tell you, we have seen it so many times. So these are some of the things that you want to address.
Hmm.
Make sure that you know your place in a relationship, know what you want, and
Hmm.
from the initial state, you put it on the table. And if
Absolutely.
it is that you're not getting what you want, don't pretend. And then you're going to come up to say, oh, this is what I thought. I was going to get this or I thought this. No thought, nothing.
Well,
You
I
put
always tell women, like, whatever it is, if he was a jerk, he's going to be 10 times a jerk after you marry him. He's going to be 10 times worse. Because when you're dating, it's my best behavior I am putting on for you. Don't matter how much you see some bad behavior, it's still my best I'm giving you. When I'm relaxed, I've won you and you have won me. That's why women can say okay, take women who are sexually active before marriage. They will invest in Victoria's Secret like crazy. Invest and go over and dress up and do this, and then soon as she get her ring, not soon as I'm giving her 18 to 26 months, then reality sets in. And then she doesn't feel like she needs to put on that extra anymore. And that's the same thing with a male.
yes,
You're
yes.
relaxed and that's where you fall into taking each other for granted. So I really, really think that as you date, you are setting yourself up for marriage. So as you said previously, the things that you are establishing from the interim of your relationship are the things that are going to carry you through your relationship. So that is really, really important how you start it.
Really important. And that's another, you touch on another, I guess, a hot point where it happens with the women too, where it's going good, but after you get relaxed and then you start not putting yourself together anymore, you start looking really older than the age, and then that becomes an issue. So I tell you, it's a whole lot of things. All right, we are moving right along. So we would have looked at how to not uh, attract the wrong guy. So what do you do to attract the right one?
We're going back to question one. Get you prepared. It's so critical. I mean, like this woman asked me, this young lady asked me, she said, well, she's a woman. She said, Michelle, how long is it gonna take? I mean, like to do all this work that you're saying. And I'm saying, okay, I think you should do the equation. How many men have you been with as relates to boyfriends? Add up the years. And then she's like, okay. I said, and now add up how many times you've been sexually active with them in the sense of, was it if you dated six guys, were you sexually active with all six? Then you tell me, is there a problem with the time because you haven't gotten the result that you wanted? So there's the time that you put in to know you, eliminate going through those processes of hurt and pain. It's just you have to put in the time to know who you are. And if you know who you are in the core of you, it really is like it makes the whole thing different because then you're gonna create principles based on your core beliefs. And for instance, if somebody say they don't lie, right? They're not gonna lie when it's convenient for them. They're just gonna live by that. So if I don't lie, don't want to be with a person who lies, the first lie you tell me, I put you on warning. I told you, right? Don't think we are gonna go through this because that's a non-negotiable, but you have to know those things for yourself. Most times you go into a relationship, you're just going through with the feelings and what you see. Those are the superficial things. And then when you already vested your body, your heart is involved, then you like, okay, well, I know they did this, but I'm gonna kind of wipe it away because I'm already involved and I already invested 6 months and then I'm at a year and then sooner or later I'm at 5 years and some people I've heard 10. So you better put in the work in the interim of your relationship with yourself before you actually say you're going into the dating world.
And we don't wanna sound biased tonight. We don't wanna be biased, so we wanna give the males. I guess most of the things we direct to the females. So now we wanna let the male have their say. How do they identify their wife material and their perfect fit?
So you asking me, the woman, to identify how the man gonna identify his woman. Wow. Well, okay, let me put on my man hat, but I'm gonna say this: women, stop wasting your time with guys. Guys know their wife almost within. I would say I would give it as far as 3 months. Men know their wives. You waiting 2 years, 3 years, he already know if you're gonna be the one. Therefore, you need to make sure that you are doing the things that are protecting you. That means you're not having sex. Okay, so we have both people. So, okay, just understand if you're having sex and he already wipe you out or cross you out as not a wife, he's going to tag you along as long as it's convenient and it works for him. And then you're going to find out that it's not working no more for you. Maybe you're in your third year. I just had a conversation with a young lady in her third year and it's like, what's happening? And he was like, what's the problem? Like, we good. He's good. He gets what he wants, but you didn't articulate what you wanted. And so he's carrying you along and you got sexually active. And so you're bonded to the man. And when that happens, I'm going to say most time we are the one in pain. I am not saying men don't feel pain. I'm just saying we are the ones that are devastated by that. And then we have to pick up the pieces and do it all over again.
Mm. And as you touch on that, I thought of what would you say to someone, a young lady who we know from maybe a Christian young lady or just by values, know that sex before marriage is wrong, but they have found themselves in a relationship where they had sex with the person and it was I guess a nice fanfare, but it's over, and now they are left now not married because this man has not married to them, and they are now at this stage, and yes, they do want to get married, but they have that guilt to say, I gave away myself.
Nothing to
So
be
what
guilty
would
about.
you say to somebody like that?
First thing, there's no guilt or shame attached to that, sweetie. You made a decision and now you are at the place that you can make a different decision. There is absolutely no guilt or shame. I had sex before marriage. There's no guilt or shame about that. Is having the information and using the information to curve your future in a different way. So you felt that pain and you said, no, I'm not doing it like that no more. It hasn't worked for me. I'm not insane. I'm not going to do that expecting a different result. So what am I going to do? I'm going to pull that part back. And guess what? If he runs, let him run. He's showing you that before you get involved physically. And that would be worse. So I had a conference, women's conference, last month. Hundreds of women showed up. And that conference, there was a couple on there. He was a 35-year-old man. She had been with a couple of partners, and she said, you know what? When she gave her life to God, she said, no more. And they got married. There's no shame in that. Abstaining from sex has absolutely no shame to your previous decisions. It's what you're presently doing. That, this is one thing I want to convey to anyone who's listening. You changing your mind to make a better decision for you and your health. And when I say health, your mental health, your emotional health, there's no shame in that. I actually applaud you because being physical, you know what it feels like, and the yearning for it is you saying, no, I'm not going to do it. So you're putting your flesh down to do that. That's commendable. No, if she's in that space, she should celebrate the fact that she have made that decision. That alone should make her chest big up, as them Jamaicans say, big up her chest. Because that's worthy of bigging up. Okay? She is incredible. And the first time she say it is gonna be awesome. Like, I don't have to, and she's gonna be like, I just said that. What the heck? I just said that. And she's gonna feel that. She's gonna be so empowered and so proud of herself. And she's gonna realize, oh, he ran. Okay. My God, if I'd give my body, I would have. Oh, thank you, Jesus. You saved me because that was gonna be horrible. Would it take 3 months, 6 months? It doesn't matter, but he has no vested interest there. So it's good. The ones that are gonna go, oh, interested, and say, could we go on the next date? Okay, pay attention to him. Watch his behavior, but stick to your gun. Stick to your gun.
So,
So
Michelle, what if they were in a relationship and the man move on and get married, and the woman who would have been in the relationship with the man, and the man has moved on, married, and the young lady is not married, and feeling bad or feeling like they have lost because the man move on, married, and the woman is not married and just there still single and moping around. What would you say to that young lady?
okay, so there's a lot of moving parts to that, right? They've moved on, but why did they break up, right? Because if he was a jerk and he just left the girl and moved on, again, she needs to thank him because what is he going to be like for a husband? Those are character flaws, not actually going to change just like that, right? So first she needs to address the relationship and she needs to take ownership. So I always encourage women and I always go to the lowest percentage and I say you should take 1% of why your relationship is that way. And what I mean is if you had a breakup and he was like, um, let me see what's a good example. I can't think of one right now. If you have a breakup and the guy have moved on, you got to go and examine that relationship. I guarantee you have some kind of ownership of the relationship breaking up. After you take ownership of that, you now need to know that that is something that you need to address. So maybe I allowed him. Okay, this is a good one. A girl going to the relationship, she's pretty excited and she's actually having a good time with the guy and she's kind of compromising herself a little bit. She normally is, let's say she normally go to church on Sundays, and then then she's like, oh, I miss a couple Sundays, and then she don't drink, and then he's out, and then she want to fit in, and she's young in the relationship, so she's doing things that she don't do, and then now they come to a place where she been doing these things for a little bit, and now she tried to switch back, and he's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I don't want a woman like that. And you're like, but that's how I was. And he's like, no, because of what she did earlier, it has compromised her for the later round, right? And so she got to take ownership that she allowed herself to just be moved by how she was feeling and not by her principles. So that if that is the case in that relationship, she now have to address like, okay, so that's where I messed up. That's why we broke up, because when I wanted to go back to who I was, that part of me, that compromise, is the reason he was able to walk away. Let's say that's it. Okay, so then what is the lesson to learn from that? Oh, going into the next relationship, oh no, I'm not compromising. I'm putting it on the table and that's what I'm sticking to. So that when she realized that, that empowers her because she knows now how to move forward. Yes, she can own that and she can learn from it and now she can move forward. She just got to take time to heal. But so many times we don't address, we own some of it. We just think he might have broke up with her because he cheated, and she's like, I didn't do nothing. I am not saying any woman is actually a contributor to the man cheat. I'm just saying whatever it is, and she's just gonna hold on to the part that he was cheating when there was other defects in the relationship that she contributed to, but she's not gonna own that. She's just gonna stick to that part. So then she said it was him, he did me wrong, and she's jaded, but she don't admit anything wrong in that relationship. How could you go into the next relationship, you haven't seen what was wrong there to fix it, and go into a relationship now prepared and more healthy? So we have to take ownership no matter what the circumstances are. You have to take some ownership. I sell even 1% is going to put you in a better place to enter into another relationship, and give yourself time to heal. Whenever something manifests, regroup and make sure you are, because you need to know exactly like, was that person who was present in that relationship, is she okay to go into another one? Probably not. So let's get her to prepare.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. I think someone has a question here. So, I would say, what if the person shows their bad and ugly side from early?
Then
Is
what
it
you
a case that he's honest? Let me put it up on the screen. Is it a case that he's honest, so that's good and you can work on it, or is it it is a red flag? The
no,
person. Mhm.
that's not a red flag. That's a red sheet. That's a sheet. That's a whole he. That's a whole. That's like a flat sheet. Just like no. If he's showing you, understand this. You got to understand the principles of dating is to bring my best self forward to you. If he's actually showing you that, you still have not seen all of him. Oh my gosh, I am scared to see what you would see if you was to get married to him. No, it's not about honest. It's about, I am telling you, whatever you see, you're going to get more of that. Run.
Just said it's not a red flag, it's a red sheet. That's the highlight of tonight, I tell you. And it's so true. So many women, they see the red sheet and they still.
I'm going to have to incorporate that into my courses, the rest.
Oh my God, they see the red sheet and they still take it and make a bed. Spread their bed. Oh my God. So if
You
you
know,
see a red, run.
run. And just to interject, I had a girl, she didn't turn into my client. She came to me. She was pregnant and her boyfriend was upset because she was pregnant. And she said he was upset because he wants to have multiple women and he told her before, and now this is going to hinder that. She was, and this is exactly what she said. He's honest. I should I should celebrate the fact that he's telling me he wants to have multiple women. Were you honest and tell him that you didn't want that? She said, well, I thought I could handle it because he was honest. I didn't have her as a client, but I could just imagine what she's going through right now because she's pregnant, and he is definitely not in a place where he's going to change that behavior.
Oh my God. And she is just happy that he's honest.
No, she's not. But this is what she was doing. So she was thinking
Mm-mm.
she's going along and it's going to get better. And she
Yeah,
kept saying, but he's so honest with me.
yeah.
What? And you're
Mhm.
not being honest with yourself because you're in turmoil. This head of ours, the story we do in there messes us up so badly. She's constantly talking to herself, and it's a very painful story. She's constantly rehearsing in her head. It's no, girl, please. That honest thing,
Mm.
don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
Oh my God.
And
I
she's
have to,
probably not honest with herself.
yeah, yeah, you have to be honest, I tell you. And that brings us to our last point. It says, what are the signs that he or she is the one? How do I know?
So, because you have those non negotiables, if those non negotiables and you're like, okay, I want somebody who is a good steward and he is sped into broke, that's not a good match because you're going to have problems. Because here again, here is something that's really, really valuable to you. And you're saying, oh, although that he's that way, we're going to work this out in marriage. So your belief system have to line up. I want to go to church every Sunday or every Saturday, but he only want to go on holidays. Is that okay? So you have to know what it is that you're willing to live with. If you don't think you can live, then you need to really address them early. A lot of times people don't think of things like this. How we argue. You need to address how we argue in the dating process, because if you don't establish that, you're going into a marriage to create a space that is going to be chances unhealthy. So you want to do that. You want to know how you guys resolve arguments. When you see that you can talk to someone and you still don't agree with them, but you can have that conversation, that's a good one. If we are going to have kids, how many kids do you want to have? If those things, like so many women go into marriages and the guy say he doesn't want to have kids, and she think when she get married, uh, he's gonna just want babies coming out of the behind. Like, are you kidding me? He told you he doesn't want kids. So you have to make sure, right, that
I'm dying to Caprica.
Samantha, you're so encouraging.
Oh my God.
Make sure those core values really line up. What is it that it means? She's done. You have you have to make sure they line up, because if they don't line up, it's gonna cause so much problems. And so many times you want the ring so bad that you're like, okay, I could deal with it. And it's so important that the ones that are non-negotiables, you have to keep it that way. I need to know how we're gonna handle our finance. Women don't talk about having separate accounts. You want your money joint. If you're not having those conversations before, no, 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 no. Or if he's saying, no, we can have separate accounts. I have someone who I know. I have a coach. She is a Christian, God-fearing woman, and she's a doctor, and she has actually she's beautiful, and she's struggling to meet her life partner. And she met a guy who was a millionaire. He only had one flaw. Everything else checked off. Tick, 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 tick. He said, you could go to church, but my kids will know that they don't need to be in church. What? This guy is ready to get married. She can get the biggest diamond on her hand. The only problem is you love your God, you love your church, and I'm saying, no, my kids have to have choice. And choice says that don't do it. That is not an atheist. He's just like free willy. He wants to be Muslim today, this body today, and my kids are gonna be exposed to that. And she got the ring. The ring is like right. She didn't marry him, all right? But I'm saying the ring is sitting there. How many women take that ring and believe this is gonna change after we get married? Because everything let's line up. And that is a non negotiable. She walked away. But I must tell you, people who were really close to her encouraged her to take it.
Mm,
So you got to be careful who's speaking into your life, ladies. You really got to be careful about that.
mm, that's deep.
It
That's
is. It
so,
really is.
it's so deep because you're seeing it. It's true. Oh my God.
Yeah, those non negotiables are really important.
So, what tips would you leave with the listeners this evening who wants to find love?
Okay. So if you're in a relationship right now and you go, well, everything she said I did not do, don't be fearful. There is hope. So this is if you're in a relationship and you want stuff to change and you say, man, I heard her and I'm thinking this gotta change, this gotta change. It's not too late. It's not. I know a young lady who was um she had a child with a man living together and actually was without sex after for 2 years until they get married because she changed. Now he was vested in her. That's why he stayed. So you need to discover if your partner is really vested in you. So you need to say, what is the things that I want? What is it that I really want? And when you figure that out, you need to really make sure that you know it in the core of you, that you can actually say it and know that that's you. And then you need to go to your partner and say, hey, I know we did not have this conversation. It's not your fault. It's all my fault. Take the whole blame. But now that I know, I want us to have a conversation. I don't know what is your non-negotiables, and you give him the opportunity. So he's like, "Oh, she's giving me the opportunity, but you really gonna come right back around and tell him what's yours." So I don't know what you desire for. What's the desire for you? I don't know what your 4 year plan is, but I want to tell you what mine is, and I want us to see if we could move from here after we discover those things. Now I must warn you: for a guy who's not vested, you can lose him at that point. But I will urge you to think if you lose him there, isn't it better there than 2 years later? 2 years of
Mm,
your life and you still didn't get him? For the
yeah.
person who is going into the relationship, you're the best place. You get to make this rule up all now. Take what I say, put it into practice. And then you get to go in there and determine. I have an acronym that I use. L is you learn listen, learn what they're saying, listen for context clues. That's what you do. You listen, you don't, and women stop talking so much. We talk too much. Don't talk as much. Ask question, listen, see what he's not answering, see what he's avoiding. Those are information that you need to know for yourself. And then E, enjoy the fact that you have brought yourself to a place where you can command this relationship or this dating place here. And A, leave the sex alone. Abstain from sex. Sex confused you. And then that R, you go as many dates as possible because at the end of it, you're not investing nothing but your time for that space of time, that short time, and you discard it if it's not for you. And I know that this word discard me like sound bad, but I'm saying, nope, don't want to do this again. Go. And then you get to reevaluate. Is he worth my time? Is he a potential? Like, could I see myself dating him for a couple more mornings? If not, let him go. And then N is for no, that's not for me. But you have to really work on yourself to get to that place. So it's not lost for anyone who is in a relationship. The only downside, well, I don't even think it's a downside because if he runs or if he leaves, you save yourself some energy and some time. It gives you a chance to go and back to the drawing board and do all the work that you need to do on you. So when you go back into that arena, you can date with a strategic plan that I know what the end results I want to create. And therefore, if I know the end, I know how to create this part. His nice car, his nice house with that stinking attitude, don't want it. I don't. Because I see women that see all the glamour things. I think the Bible say all that glitters not gold. So
Yeah.
they see all the pretty stuff and they confuse that and say, establish expectations. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, ladies. And I just want to reiterate, if you're having sex, do not shame yourself. Do not make yourself think that it's not possible. Just know when you hold back. Oh, let me give you this little stat. Men who date women that don't give them sex marry them faster. He's like, we're gonna have to work this out real quick because they're vested. Their hearts are vested. So, yep. I always will tell you, do the equation. If I had five guys, let's say I had five guys, I get each one of them a year of my life. I had sex with four of them. Lord, you know how much time you waste there, girl?
Yeah.
Let me put it in Jamaican term. That pum pum worth much more than that.
Michelle's gonna kill me. Oh my god.
Serious.
Are you serious?
I'm
You
serious.
can do
You gotta value yourself a whole lot more.
that.
Value
I'm
yourself.
dying. Woo. Oh my god. Shake my head. Some friends though, love man things. The woman would have probably died in that relationship if she didn't walk away. Love God first and all the
Absolutely.
other things come after, if God allows it.
Absolutely, girlfriend. When you have him as your guiding light, I don't care who walks, he was supposed to walk.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. I can say for a fact that tonight was awesome. Thank you, viewers, for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Remember to share on your platform, on your Facebook, on your WhatsApp, and all of that. And we are grateful that Michelle joined us this evening, and we had a wonderful time. The red sheet and not the red flag.
Samantha, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to implement it in my course. I never said it before, but she just like brought that out. I'm like, oh, I can put
Yes,
the red sheet in my course.
you got a revelation tonight. It's not a red flag, it's a red sheet. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I,
So, but
I,
I want to say, ladies, if there's any one of you in the audience that feel that you want to talk to a relationship coach, I have a 45 minutes free session and you can evaluate if that is for you or if I'm for you, because I'm evaluating if you're for me, because somebody who doesn't meet what I'm looking for, I just like I would set up boundaries around relationships, I definitely set a boundary around my client's relationship. So you're going to evaluate if I can be a good coach for you, and I will evaluate if you will be a good client for me. So if you want, there's a free session in my bio. Just click on it, book a call, and we can chat. And you can ask all the questions. Well, not all the questions, but we could
tell
get
them
the
where to find
four
you.
questions started.
Tell them where to find you, Michelle.
Okay, I am on Our Life's Moment. I also my website is www.ourlifesmoment. Right up there it says right up my name, ourlifesmoment.com, or you can find me on IG at Our Life's Moment. And I will really, really be happy to have the conversation. And I would love to work with anyone who is actually serious about actually moving their life to a different. And I'm telling you, if you implement it, you will have your husband, if that's what you want. Yep.
Okay, audience, you hear that? You hear that? Thank you so much again, Michelle, for being with us.
Oh,
It's
I'm
really an
sweet. It
honor
was
and a
fun.
privilege to have you with us. Thank you, audience. Remember, I've seen some new people, Anika Phillips. Please subscribe. Uh, please hit that subscribe so we can have you on another time and that you can see all that is happening. Uh,
Actually, she is one of my students. I have a teenage pod that I coach that's free. So if you have any teenage girls between 13 and 19, I coach that for free. And she's one of my students. So she's learning what I'm teaching women now. Could you imagine how great she's gonna be going in
Yeah,
there? Oh my God. You
yeah,
have
yeah.
a teenage daughter?
Nice. I'm gonna invite some teenagers. I have some because I
Yes,
know my daughter is already
we need to catch
teenager.
them up. We got nipped it, right? I can't take the babies, right? But I'm telling you, God has pivoted me down to the place where, I mean, when you speak into a young woman's life and you see her transform, and Janika is actually like incredible, quick at taking it. They're like they're sponges, suck it up, and they just like make it their own. As we all
Yeah.
people be like,
And this one too is Simone. That's your one too. Guard her.
Simone. No, she's a she follows me.
Okay. Yes. So yeah. Thank you for tuning in. I think there's another one. Jean Nelson. Thank you for being here. All the others, Katisha, Stacy, and you subscribe. Thank you again, guys, and thank you again. Remember, we are striving and striving to be and to become a better version of ourselves every day. And we have to be honest and remember that mindset is everything. Have yourself a wonderful evening and see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye, bye, guys. Thank you for having me.